Okay, today we are going to talk about growth and decay. If I said that the moose population was growing, I think that's pretty obvious. It's going up. Usually I wouldn't say it was decaying. It just doesn't seem like the right word. How about decreasing? It means the same thing, okay? But if I said that the moose population is decreasing, as in going down by 7% a year, tell me which part about this would be wrong. If it's going down 7% a year, everything's right except for one thing. Yes, sir. Yes, except you can make an easier change than saying I want a 0.93. There's one simple, tiny change. Yes, sir. If I just get rid of the 1, that will actually, if I multiply by 0.07, that'll actually shrink me by 93%. You're warm. What one thing could change to make this 7% decay or decline? Yes, instead of the plus, you'd change it to a minus. All right, now somebody brought up, couldn't you just use 0.93? Would you agree 1 minus 0.07 is 0.93? Then why am I going to advocate that you write it with a 1 minus 0.07 instead of, and I totally get this, people, smart people think, Mr. Server, it would be a lot easier if you just used a 0.93 here. They are identical, but if you use this way, the good part is you can see your decay rate right there. Kids that write 0.93 when asked what the decay rate is will often by accident say 93%. Do you get what I'm saying? They're going to make that little mistake. Whereas if you put 1 plus something or 1 minus something, it's less likely you'll screw up the decay rate. It's just sitting right there. The other reason I want you to write it with a 1 plus or a 1 minus is because I know where you're going. And within 3 class days, who knows if we have school off for the next few days for the super cold or not, but within 3 learning days from now, you'll be doing problems like this. Notice that only the rate gets divided by 12. That makes it, take a guess. What's 12? What's there 12 of? That would make sense here. Months in a year, and therefore that makes it monthly. Okay, so that's a typical problem like a week from now. Do you see why I don't want you to use 0.93? Because then you can't divide part of it by 12 like we're going to have to later. So trust me, you want your equations to look like this, not that. You'd rather have 1 minus the 0.07. Does that make sense to you? Okay, that's the essence of today's lesson. It's pretty much it. But we need to review how to put stuff in the calculator. And I am going kind of fast, but we have a really short class period today. So on your calculator, would you please pull up the sequence, make sure you're in sequence mode, and hit the y equals button, and it'll bring up this thing. UN min. No, wait, what's the first thing it says, actually? Just n min, right? And then it says u sub n. And then it says u n min. So what should your calculator exactly read if you're going to put in this guy right here? I hope you can do it. That's your challenge right now, is to try to put that in right. Here's how you can tell if you put it in right. If you figure out u sub 3 and it's smaller than 4,000, and check with the kid next to you to see if they got the exact same thing as you did. just in case anybody's getting this messed up, you all should have said n min was 1 because that's n min. The smallest n is, that's 1. It's not 4,000. Don't put the 4,000 there. Put a 1 there. And where does the 4,000 go? At the end, the last line. That's where the 4,000 goes. Okay, you figure out the rest of it, and then somebody's probably already done and could tell me, what do you think u sub 3 is? And then we'll let people check theirs against that. Anybody got it? Think you got u sub 3? Nobody's there yet. All right, I'm going to pause for a second while you get a little further. There should be a -1 right there, n minus 1. And that needs to go in your calculator too. All right, pausing again, give me a little more time. Figure out what to put on this line right here. And then if you do have it in there right, we'll figure out what u sub 3 is. Let's give people a chance to check. So some of you guys are pretty solid at this and you think you know it. What do you think u sub 3 is? Please raise your hand if you think you got u sub 3. Don't be scared. Yes, sir. 3459.6. Can anybody verify that number? Quite a few people are verifying that number. So now we're going to narrow it down to, if you can't make yours say 3459.6 on your table, then we got to get you some help from the kids next to you. So please, if you haven't already, start helping the person next to you or comparing with them. Okay, so you should have said u, make sure it's a lowercase u, not an upper, sub n minus 1. You can put a time sign, but you don't have to because it'll assume times. 1 minus 0.07 and the parenthesis. I know I got a little squished at the end there, but that's the basics of a decay rate. All right, so now I need your attention for just one last thing. I know some of you don't think you need me, but I want to show you the most common mistake on the test. Look up at the board for a second, please. Please look up. Some of you are still working on your homework. Stop working on your homework. I need just one more minute. When they say, what's the decay rate? Well, duh, it's 7%. That's easy. But don't put 0.07%. That's not a percent. 0.07 is a decimal. So if you want it to be a percent, it would be 7%. And then here's the other common mistake. Guess what people put incorrectly when I ask, what is the common ratio? They'll say 7%. It's not. What is the common ratio? What's the thing you divide or, multiply by every time? It's not 0.07. That's not what you're multiplying by. 0.93 would be the common ratio. Because what is 1 minus 0.07? 0.93. And some of you are like, but didn't you say not to use that? Yeah, on the calculator, type in 1 minus 0.07, but when asked what's the common ratio, what is 1 minus 0.07? It's 0.93. That's the common ratio. This is the CR, common ratio. This is the decay rate. And now let's start your homework. I'm going to pause for a second while I pull up the Schoology quiz for today. Okay, quick reminder how I do these Schoology quizzes. I allow you 2 attempts, but you score only the average of the 2 attempts. Why? Because I show you the right answers after your first attempt. If I just let it be your highest score, some kids are going to find out the answers by typing a bunch of crap, and then, boop, they get all the answers, and then they can just fill it in. Okay? I don't want that. I want you to try on the first try. And then if you get the answers, and it's like, oh, I can't believe I just typed it different than they thought, I'm not going to go back and give you credit for those. But on the other hand, if you can get a 75% by your second attempt, or even close, if I see you tried it twice and got a 70%, I'm likely to give it to you. The kid who only tries it once, though, if you're not willing to try it twice, I'm not going to round your score all the way up to a perfect paper. Okay, if you're willing to try it twice, though, and you can get at least a 75, if I see you tried it twice and it's really close, I'll give it to you. You're going to get 100% in the gradebook. All right, so on this one, hint, it's always the second one divided by the first one. 150 divided by 100. 1.5 is your common ratio, your R. Is that growth or decay? I can tell by the fact that it's 1 plus 0.5 that that is growth of 50%. Growth of, don't put 0.5, it's a percent. 50% growth. Now, some people are going to say, isn't it 150% growth? No, because it only grows by this part. Multiplying by 1 doesn't make something grow. The growth is what's more than 1. That's what gives you the growth. Multiplying by 1 doesn't make it grow. So that's the growth, the part that's more than 1. Was this increasing or decreasing? Well, duh, the numbers are getting bigger, so that's increasing. Don't overthink that. Okay, next is these two numbers have to get divided to get the ratio. It's some nasty decimal. I'll let you figure that out. Is it growth or decay? I can just look at the numbers, see they're get smaller. That's decay. What's the percent? Well, I'd need to know this common ratio, but I would think of it like, let's say it's 7. It's much smaller than that. Let's say it's like 50% decay or something. I'd put this. And that'll remind me, oh, this, the part that's less, the part that's being subtracted from 1, that's your percent change right there. And increasing or decreasing, duh, it's decreasing. Too easy. All right, I left you a little bit of work there, but there's a whole bunch of answers for the beginning. If you need help, please ask me. Yes, sir?
Do we put a percent sign when we're doing that?
Nope, because it has a percent thing in the problem. Please do not put the percent sign.
Like the first one. Oh.
Don't put in the sign for percent. I did go through and allow you to put, instead of like 9.93, you can put 1 minus 0.07 if you want. Or you can put the 93% like 0.93. All right, you got a bunch of time to work. If you need to ask for help, please come on up. Let me help you. Do you have a question for the video or? Okay, then that's all I got for the video.